We need to understand what purpose this incident plays in the larger structure of the book. Why has Paul made his appeal to Rome? Is it for personal justice? Well, that's part of it. He understands I'm not going to get a fair trial in Jerusalem. I want to go to Rome. Is it for the vindication of the Christian faith? That may be part of it. He understands that for people like Theophilus and others, they need to see that Christianity has been vindicated, that to be a Christian does not make you a bad Jew or a bad citizen. But ultimately it was so that he might share the gospel in Rome. Acts 9:15. But the Lord said to him, to Ananias, "Go, for Paul is a chosen instrument of mine to carry my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel." That's what God said about Paul at his very conversion. I have this man in mind as a mission to the Gentiles, and he will speak before kings. And here he is. Do you remember in Acts 23, verse 11, when this mess started in Jerusalem? We read, "The following night the Lord stood by him and said, 'Take courage, for as you have testified to the facts about me in Jerusalem, so you must testify also in Rome.'" So what role does this story play in the larger story of God's mission? God wanted Paul to get to Rome. And if Paul was going to get to Rome, God would have to get him there. Now, God could have got him there by sailing on a nice boat. You know, a luxury cruise liner, going a Mediterranean cruise, and Paul could have gone to Rome. But tell me, how would he have then preached before the tribune, and before Governor Felix and his wife, and before Governor Festus, and before King Agrippa and Bernice? He would not have preached before kings. All throughout Paul's life, when he has these imprisonments, what does he do? Well, he writes parts of the Bible. And when he is going to sail later in the book to Rome, it's because Paul was on board that the people are spared from the shipwreck. No, God knows what he's doing. And so we see here in chapter 25 this turning point that now Paul, we see, is going to go to Rome just as the Lord promised him on that night in Jerusalem more than 2 years ago. Do you see how God works secretly and stunningly through so many providential circumstances and rulings and decisions and movements and false starts and missteps and mishaps and mistakes in ways that we could never even fathom come together? That Festus here unknowingly protects Paul from certain death. That Nero, who is the emperor, has not yet gone mad because he has decent people like Seneca still advising him. And so for the time being, an appeal to Caesar is still a good appeal. That Roman law is still such that Christians can receive some semblance of fair treatment. It wouldn't be until 64, 65 AD that the persecutions start. Through all of the injustices and all the delays and all of the sorry saps who sit in judgment over Paul, God knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted Paul to preach before Gentiles and kings, and here he is. He wanted Paul to get to Rome, and there he goes. Those divine purposes would not fail. So we have to remember, you have to remember, you are but you're in the middle of your story. No, your story is really God's story, but you're in the middle. You're not at the end. Some of you have more chapters left than others, but we're all somewhere in the middle. You know where you've been. If you're a Christian, you know how it ends up. In glory with Christ forever and ever, you know. But we don't see, how does this right here, how does this going on in our culture, how does this get me to there? And we don't know. But God knows.